we'll start by asking you, most of your projects are concentrated in northern part of India. What's the plan on going beyond your core regions?
We are comfortable in the northern region, so there is no immediate plan to expand it pan-India. However, we have started a low-cost housing division, which we are expanding into UP and Punjab. So we will be going into small cities of all these states. So that is going to be the next major expansion we'll be having.
How many, on an average, how many square feet of area do you target to sell?
It's a very difficult question, you know. We don't target number of square footage to sell. We have products ranging from 10 lakh rupees in low-cost housing to 15 crore rupees project in some other part of the city. We target number of dwelling units in each projects. Therefore, in Yamuna Expressway, we may be targeting selling X number of dwelling units where the unit size are 1200 or 1400 square foot. But in Gurgaon, the units are 2200 square foot, 3000 square foot size. So what we are targeting is selling X number of dwelling unit in a particular period. That period is also not an year. So what we do believe is in NCR market or in the market where we are, our strategy is not to sell the entire unit upfront. So we believe in selling X part of the total inventory in the initial part of the year and sell Y percentage of the total inventory during the life of the project. And when the project is completed, to retain certain part of the inventory and sell it, you know, in next 5-6 months. So if you really look, a life construction cycle of a project is about say 42 months. We may be thinking about selling the entire inventory in about 50 months time. So the number of units we sell in a month may not be much. For example, in a Gurgaon project, a 10 acre, usually the unit size, number of dwelling units is about 400, right? So if you are spreading that in 15 months, the number of units you will be selling on an average in a month is not more than 9 or 10, right? So that's the way we look at it.
You have 12 ongoing projects, that's according to our information. Tell us about the funding of those projects. In what all projects you have private equity funding and what part of the funding is private equity. Tell us about the funding.
Most of our project, when we go buy land, we take private equity. In a sense, that help us, you know, our model is that we don't put resources from one project to buy land.
Okay.
So what we do is, whatever surplus money we have, we go buying land along with a private equity.
Okay.
So it's across the board. This is the decision. For every project, we'll have a private equity partner. So,
like you just said that you have 5 projects on Dwarka Expressway. Are you planning more, not only on Dwarka Expressway, anywhere in other?
We are quite bullish about Dwarka Expressway. Dwarka Expressway, given an option, at the appropriate time we'll be looking for more options there.
More projects?
More projects there.
So any concrete plan in terms of either launching new projects on Dwarka Expressway or buying some more land?
We have 3 projects under sale right now. They are already, you know, under various stages of construction also, 3 projects. As I said, we don't sell the entire stock at the beginning like many other developers does, because we don't intend to take out cash from one project to buy other land. We always go by private equity. So I have inventory to sell in all these 3 projects during the construction period and beyond in those projects. We have another 2 land parcels more in the Dwarka Expressway, which we will launch, you know, after a reasonable period of time. The 3 projects which we are selling are 3 product segment. One is ultra luxury, the other one is luxury, and the third project is normal group housing of Gurgaon.
So apart from Dwarka Expressway, are you also looking at other areas in North India which you're very bullish about?
We are quite bullish on Noida region. We have 3 projects under in initial stages of construction in Noida. One is at sector 150 of Noida. Another one is in Greater Noida, which just launched, And in Yamuna Expressway, we are developing a 100-acre project.
Okay. Also, I talk to people and they say that they always get associated with the private equity firm at the project level, and it never happens that they get funding for the whole crew, and it's difficult. What has been the experience like in your case? Because if you try and associate with, say, a bunch of firms for the whole group, it gets difficult. They prefer to associate, say, for a project level entity.
This is not a limitation coming from the developer side, but if you really look at in the initial years of private equity into the industry, people were very keen to put money in the entity level. Then most of the funds realized there are a lot of challenges in facilitating an exit for a private equity in a given time frame. In India, IPOs or QIPs or such things are not happening at the holdco level in real estate space, at least in recent period. Up to 2008, people realized it's not going to be that easy. So the challenge is, if the money comes in the holdco level, then how that exit is happening really. So most of the private equities are comfortable putting money at the project level, so that there is a clarity of liquidation of asset happening and the money coming to the entity level and facilitating a kind of buyback of shares or dividend out, or there are multiple options available for the company to work out. Second reason is that it is easy for a private equity to assess the risk of a specific project. It's very difficult to assess the risk of a company which is having multiple projects at different regions. So therefore, so most of the private equity, which I understand now, feel more comfortable dealing with a project rather than dealing with the.
When I speak to developers, they are looking for funds at company level, but they are seeking, in fact. So what's going wrong? I mean, because from one side, private equity firm side, they are not they are more comfortable investing at project level, but developers are seeking fund, at the company level. So there is a sort of mismatch that we see. How do we go about it?
Developer's perspective, he understands the risk of the entire investment portfolio. So for him, he don't understand why the fund is not able to understand. What happens? Like if an entity coming to invest in ATS, we know the risk profile of Yamuna Expressway, Noida, or Greater Noida, or for that matter, Darabasi, or all those places. I have portfolios spread across. So I always, think why the fund cannot assess these locations. Why can't they assess the entire portfolio and put money at one place? As a developer always think, right? Because he has assessed the risk of Darabasis or Mohalis or Chennai or other places. But the fund is not able to make that kind of call. They are comfortable with Gurgaon, Noida, specific level. So the disconnect is not a disconnect. It is the inability of a fund to assess the risk of various projects spread across different regions. And the developers, because it is his project, before he go to any location, he do enough study, he understand everything. He is not able to understand why the fund is not able to assess the risk of Lake Moradabad or maybe Bijnor. So this gap will remain for a while. That is my reading.
But why is it so? Because if developers are going to small cities like Jalandhar, Mohali, and developing projects, the end result is the same. They also want to sort of make profit and give possession to customers. So the end result is the same, to make profit, right? So if developers can see that these projects in small cities are going to work, why can't fund managers see that? So I want to sort of understand from you, how is this mismatch? Because this question constantly keeps coming when we speak to developers.
Lot of funds tried putting money in those markets. If you are familiar, if you look at the investment portfolio of funds, private equities during 2007, 8 and all, a lot of them went and put money on all the small tier 2, tier 3 cities. A lot of them did. But after 2008-9, the growth of in those markets slowed down, and not many funds could not give a decent return to their investors out of those investment. That is what's scaring away the private equities from putting money on those cities. What my reading is, some of those funds put money at a very high valuation during that period without fully understanding that market and the market dynamics. So they lost money, or they didn't make kind of money. My reading is, now going forward, the funds will find it's difficult to get good opportunities because they are competing with each other for the same space in NCRs or the Bombays or the city centric. With more money coming to the market and the large money chasing limited number of opportunities, they will be forced to look at opportunities outside this comfort markets, and this time they will be doing a better due diligence. They will be going to those cities with better developers at a more realistic and reasonable price and cost. Then that is the time lag I'm looking at, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line. Funds will be relooking at those markets in very serious manner, because there is lack of opportunity in the secured markets.
So anyway, they'll have to look beyond these markets at some point of time.
Absolutely.
Also, you have not forayed into commercial segment at all.
Right.
Why is it so? And when do we see ATS making some commercial spaces in
We are making 2 IT buildings next door. It's not that we don't do it. So if you really look last 4-5 years, commercial market is not doing well. So if you are not doing it, it's because we have a better understanding of the market. We understand there is a demand-supply mismatch here, and so we don't have that herd mentality. Everybody is doing it, you go and do it. No, we assess each opportunities individually, and if it makes sense, we do it. So commercial, as of today, we believe in general in this region the supply is much more than the demand, and we are staying away from that market.
Also tell us about the land acquisition bill. How is it going to affect prices in coming days?
We welcome disciplining real estate sector, more regulations, more transparency into the segment definitely is welcome. But the challenge is putting certain onus on a private developer, which the state should take care of. For example, when I am not going and forcibly acquiring anybody's land as a private developer. If I am commercially negotiating with somebody and we are handshaking on a mutually agreed terms, then there is no business for the state to put certain social commitment on me to take care of the interest of another person. So that is where we are uncomfortable about this Land Acquisition Act, putting all those social responsibilities on the developers when I am negotiating with a private landowner on commercial terms and unacceptable terms. I want to buy land, develop, exit and go. I am not here to take care of the interest of those stakeholders for the next 20 years. That is state's responsibility. If the state want to take certain money from me to ensure those responsibilities are being taken care of, I'm fine with it.
Tell us about the low-cost housing. We didn't discuss it much. I mean, where are you going with this initiative? But what's the overall plan? You spoken about 3 cities that is on the radar. But is it like are there broader plans to sort of expand it across NCR?
Yes.
So what's the broader plan that I want to?
We have a vision, desire to ensure that there are quality housing happening. Our target is to reach as many cities in north as possible, as fast as possible, and take a position in any part of the lower part of the pyramid and move one notch above that pyramid line, maybe below. So So target is housing for less than 10 lakh rupees, and the same location we want to do something in the range of 18 to 20 lakh rupees also. Two products. Because there are people who can afford 18 lakh rupees housing, but most of the developers are focusing quality housing at 45 lakh 50 lakh rupees, but there are a lot of people who can afford 15 to 20 lakh rupees. We believe if we can provide something to that segment, we should do. We are also keen to give a quality housing at 10 lakh rupees, less than 10 lakh rupees range. So this both the places we will be doing in every cities where we are going.
So apart from the 2 land parcels that we talked about on Dwarka Expressway and 2 projects that you have.
Definitely that is not land banking part.
No, as in I'm saying apart from these areas, are you sort of other plans to buy land in any part of
for land banking?
Launch?
For land banking, absolutely no. If you ask me about the land we have, Darabas is a 300-acre development. Mohali we have a large project.
Let's say, how will the portfolio of ATS look like 5 years down the line?
Will be really large in northern India.
And also, what sort of numbers are you expecting to clock this fiscal, which is going to end soon, and in the coming 2-3 years, say?
We have about 20 million square foot under various stages of development. Numbers will come because in real estate, I don't believe it is fair to put the numbers based on the percentage of completion method and stuff like that, because that is not the game what we are looking at. For example, a developer who sells his entire stock upfront, his percentage of completion turnover and profit of a particular year will be much more than a company like ours, where we sell our entire project over a period of 50 years. But if I draw the balance sheet of both the companies 5 years period, my average realization will be much more than his realization, and my real sense present value profit from the project will be much more than that of the player who sells everything. So I don't want to get into the number, it doesn't make sense to me. What makes sense to me is that I'm in the market, I have enough product to sell, my buyers, the investors, buyers are keen to buy my product. As long as that positive feedback is coming to me, I think we are there.
I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.